So in the last video, we learned how you can decide if you can multiply two matrices or not. We didn't really talk about how to actually do it. In this video, I'm going to show you a really cool process for multiplying matrices called karate chop action. Now, quick story here. Many years ago, when I was back in high school myself, my Algebra 2 teacher showed us this method that he called karate chop action, and I very distinctly remember thinking to myself, this is ridiculous, this is so dumb, I hate it, I'm never going to do this. But several years later in college, I hadn't done matrices in years, I still remembered the process. I was able to do it. So as stupid as you may find it, it's really good for remembering how to multiply matrices, and kids tell me years later. I've had kids walk up to me like, what do you remember from Algebra 2? Oh, the karate chop action. So it's really cool, it's great, and it's a way to multiply two matrices together. So this slide is going to kind of go into how it's done and the just rules. It's going to look tough and confusing right now. You really get good at this by trying examples. So bear with me for now, listen to the rules, and I'll show you how it works in action. So first of all, it's called karate chop action because you guys are physically going to be karate chopping your paper. Pretty cool, right? So let me go ahead and show you guys how this is going to work out. You're going to take your right hand, and I want you all to take your right hand right now, even sitting there at home, nobody's watching you. Take your right hand, and you're going to chop in the way that I showed you right here. You're going to start out at your right hand, start on the right side, so you chop vertically, and then you're going to chop horizontally like this. So there's two chops in the action. You go choo, choo, just like that. Practice that a couple times. You're by yourself, nobody's watching. Make sure you have that chop down because that's what we're going to be using in our problems. In the technical math way of writing this, I felt like I wanted to include it in here anyway. It's the rows of the first by the columns of the second. But that chop is going to be guiding us through our problems. There are 4 rules related to karate chopping that I want you guys to have written down. It's the sort of thing where you'll look at it later and it'll make sense after you've tried a few. For right now, it's going to be really weird. But I'm not going to bother reading through the rules there. You can read them yourself and then just write these down. And let's actually try out a problem. So I took our original problem that we tried way back when that I had you guys write down incorrectly in the last video. Remember, you do not just multiply the answers straight across. Let me go back and show you real quick what size our answer is going to be and all that good stuff. We have a 2 by 2 and we have a 2 by 2. Middle numbers match so we can do it. My answer is going to be a 2 by 2 matrix. So what I'm going to do, and I'm making this problem super giant so you can see what's going on, so you can actually see me karate chopping and everything. On a regular problem, you'll get to a point where you won't need this anymore. But for right now, just give yourself like a big problem. Give yourself a lot of room. And I know it's going to be a 2 by 2, so I'm actually going to draw like a little dotted line in here. This is going to be where my work goes to get my answer. I'll make a nice clean answer in a little bit, but I know it's going to be a 2 by 2, so I gave myself 2 rows, 2 columns. So I'm going to go ahead now and start my karate chop action. So remember, when you're doing karate chop action, the first thing you do is you chop vertically on the right side. So you start out your first chop like this. And you can see right there, I have a 5 on my fingertips right there, and I have a 7 closer to the bottom of my hands. To finish off the chop, we're going to be going horizontally. So we chop like this. So remember, the first chop, you go this way, then you come over here. So that 5 on my fingers lands on top of the 1, and the 7 lands on top of the 2. So in that very first box, I took the first column, first row. So up here, I'm going to have 5 landed on 1. Remember, numbers that land on each other get multiplied. And at the same time, 2 and 7 landed on each other. I'll show that one more time. So the 5 landed over here on the 1. The 2 landed on the 7. Numbers that land on each other get multiplied. So I do 1 times 5, I do 2 times 7. And I get a 5 and a 14. Those two pieces get added together. So 5 plus 14 is a 19. Each chop gets you one number in your answer. So that first chop, the 5 and the 14 combined, they give me 19. That's one chop, I got a 19 out of it. So when I go to write my nice final answer over here, that top number is going to be a 19. So I have my workspace and I put my nice answer over there. I'm going to go back now. I have to pair up the column with every single row. I did these two, but I'm not done with this column because I can still do 5 and 7 against 3 and 4. So the 5 on my fingertips is going to land on top of the 3. and the 4 is going to land on top of the 7. The 7 is going to land on top of the 4. So I'm going to have 3 and 5 being multiplied, and I'm going to have 4 and 7 being multiplied. Numbers that land on each other get multiplied. 5 lands on 3, 4 lands on 7. And I'm going to add those two pieces together. So on this one, I'm going to have 15 plus 28, which I believe is a 43. 15, 28, yeah. So that's going to be a 43 down here. I had the first column against the second row. I put my answer in the first column, second row. When you fill in the matrix, when you go like this, you're going to fill the matrix in going downwards. So you can see what's going on so far. For this first example, I definitely want you to write the work that I'm showing here. After a little while, you'll be able to go straight to this. But so you can see where the numbers came from and everything, I want to see it like this in your first example in the notes. Now, we took that column, we took our 5 and 7, we did it against this, we did it against here. We're done with that column. There's nothing else to pair up the 5 and 7 against. So we're going to scoot over now and go with our next column. So again, we're done with the first column. We paired up that 5, 7 against both rows. Now we're going to go back and we're going to get our second column. So right here, when I do my karate chop, I have a 6 on my finger and I have an 8 farther down on my hand. That 6 and 8, when I chop right here, again, I'm doing it against each row. The 1 lands on the 6, 6 lands on 1, and 8 lands on 2. So my two pieces, the second column, first row, is going to go in the second column, first row. It's going to go right here. When you fill out the matrix, you're going to go downwards with it. So 6 lands on 1. So 6 times 1, and I have 2 and 8 together, so 2 times 8. I'm going to have, that's going to be 6, and it's going to be 16. When I add those together, 6 plus 16 is a 22. So my top right number is going to be a 22, and I have just one chop left to do. I still have to do my 6 and 8 against the bottom pairing right here. So I chopped these. Now I'm going to go back and chop this one. So I'm going to get 3 times 6, and I'm going to get 4 times 8. So 3 times 6 and 4 times 8, that's going to get me a 18 and a 32. If I add those together, I should get 50. So my final answer for my karate chop action is right there. And notice that's not the same answer we got when we just multiplied the numbers straight across. This is a process you will definitely have to practice to get good at. It's weird and it takes some getting used to, but after you try a few, you will get good at them. In the next video, I'm going to go over a couple more examples of it.